Hey, guess what? A special someone leaked us a certain Christmas party video. It's the mining industry, by the way, all the heavy hitters. And this was designed just for them. This was never supposed to reach the public. And originally, I was gonna go through it on a stream because I thought that that would be a fun thing to do. But then it turned into 2 streams. And then I realized, oh my God, this is way better than any of us could have ever imagined. You know what this is? This is all the heavy hitters of the mining industry, big wigs in politics, from the Liberal Party and One Nation, to be specific, going out, paying fealty to their overlords, talking about how they're planning to overthrow the government. And they thought that this would never reach the light of day, but this is how these people think. It is insane. So I thought that more people should know about this. So we've turned what was about 5 hours of content into as short a crunch as we possibly can. And I imagine that once the editors have gone through this, it's still going to be extremely long because there's so much good content in it. You have no idea what these people are admitting to. They are simultaneously insane, dumb, and evil. And this is the provable footage of that. And also, by the way, this is just to let you know that this is your Christmas present. This is the last video that we will be releasing for quite some time. We're taking a well-earned Christmas break. But if you'd like to continue getting videos, we are going to be releasing things on Patreon. Some of that's going to be experimental. And if it's a good kind of experimental, it will reach the public. But in the meantime, I think that we've earned a Christmas present, don't you? Maybe you should sign up to our Patreon so that we can continue to give you stuff like this. This is going to be, I'm hoping, election changing. Let's see. We have some very, very naughty footage that shouldn't have been released. And we got our hands on it thanks to somebody who was very, very naughty in giving it to us. So we will find out later on. I haven't even seen it myself. That's how top secret it is. It was handed to us, and I don't think it should have been. I think this was supposed to be a private video that we are going to be dissecting later. And then I said to the person that handed it to us, do I need to know anything about it? And they said, absolutely not. You can just sit back and enjoy. Apparently they're saying a bunch of things that they really, really don't want to be public. So I'm very much looking forward to that. You know what this is? National Mining Day 2024. This was the inside meeting of the mining industry, all the bigwigs talking behind closed doors, filming something for themselves, and we got exclusive access to it. Look at it, only 494 views. This was just between each other. This was just supposed to be between each other behind closed doors. And look at what is behind closed doors. It's really, really bad. It's damning. There is a bunch of things that they do not want released to the public.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you're enjoying your lovely 2GR entree.
Isn't it incredible? Already starting off with a guy with a South African accent. That's the him saying. He can make it up. It's such a good start.
I want to welcome all of you here at Moomba. My name is Garrett Veldsman, and I'll be your MC tonight.
Damn. Get out the Veldsman!
And as you can see from my hat, we're maybe in a gas-rich area, but we're big on mining and big on resources.
Hey, you didn't even have to pay $100 for that hat. Look at it. You know what it says? Keep mining great. Just to give you an idea of the caliber of person that's at this distinguished event. Isn't it incredible, like, how dumb and bogan the people that really control this country are? You know, Pauline Hanson's in there, for instance. He's wearing a Make Mining Great hat. They're just such dicks. They're just dumb. They're very dumb people, aren't they? Morning! Like, it's so annoying to people that dig holes in the ground for a living. They're the ones that control our destiny. All right, I think his funny accent has overstayed its welcome, don't you think? The rest of it's just going to be, I'd like to thank this other bogan that looks like a Ned Kelly. There she is. Look at them. They're so pathetic. Look, it's just more Trump like, I don't have a personality and I like Trump a lot. Dig, baby, dig instead of drill, baby, drill. Do you get it? We're having fun, aren't we? Bogans! Isn't it so annoying? Like, it's just really stupid people that have heaps and heaps and heaps of money that they didn't deserve in the first place, controlling the destiny of an entire country. These are the fuckheads that you have to negotiate with.
The platform we are on was especially built for us by Santos to be able to see their gas plants throughout our gala dinner. And Santos even...
Look at this beautiful sight. A gas mine. There she is, right there. Look. You can see that little Ronald McDonald haircut right there. And that is either an angry lesbian from Newtown or Pauline Hanson. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there's any angry lesbians from Newtown in that crowd.
Shouldn't we really have a national month or two, given our industry's contribution?
Oh, so self-serving. I think that I should have a month. That's how good I am. Why are you good again, Gina? Because I was born into as an heiress into a family of some guy that just happened to stumble ass backwards into a big mining property that was desert.
You, meaning Santos, have contributed immensely to our country. Thank you. And don't you just love...
She was waiting for an applause break there.
Drill, baby, drill. Essential for getting gas to supply...
Damn, that's the closest that she got to a laugh for that. One guy looking extremely awkward that's clearly a sycophant.
As it's getting so darned hard to drill, baby, drill. And our government wants to see the end of the fossil fuel industry, your industry. We'll soon hear from CEO Kevin of Santos. Isn't it timely we hold National Mining Day, where gas has been produced and supplied reliably to Australians for more than 50 years?
So they're already really giving the game away, aren't they? While all these assholes in Crikey are sitting there saying, they're the same. They are both addicted to fossil fuels, the two major parties. What have you got over in the headquarters there? Them complaining about Labor putting all these restrictions on them and trying to get them out of the grid. You understand how bullshit this all is?
That our country can run on sunshine and windmills.
So they always say windmill, don't they? To try and elicit this idea that the thing that you see all over the country isn't generating. They say, no, it's like one of those 1600s cobblestone things. How could that power a whole country?
Put these on your own properties if you wish. But please stop forcing this on us taxpayers when the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always make it to your solar panels.
Still, they're
Natural
still
gas
saying
provides
it.
the stability required for sectors where energy unreliability isn't an option.
How many times do you think these people have heard those same points just drilled into their heads? These same points that have been dispelled a million times. Everything that they're saying is complete and utter horseshit. We've done entire videos on these exact points. They still just... This is what's so infuriating about doing this job, right? Like, no matter how many times you dispel it, like we just spent 4 hours going through the donation reform things of the independent, stupid points that they're using just to justify their own selfish purposes. This is what's so annoying about having, like, wanting an actual outcome in life. Like, you do realize most people don't want an outcome. Most people just want to, if they're like these people, they just want to keep printing money. And most other people just want to keep believing the same lies because it's just mentally taxing remotely to change any opinion in your head. And so they'll just sit there and just defend the same shitty position that they've had forever. They'll never, ever, ever admit that they're wrong on anything.
But please don't make us taxpayers pay for more pollies, bureaucrats and billionaires, luxurious gubfests around the world in aid of banning fossil fuels.
Did you all just hear that? She's sitting there saying, all these billionaires gallivanting around in their private jets, talking about the benefits of renewables. What are you doing? We've got a bunch of billionaires in a room that flow around in their private jets to talk about the benefits of gas. It's like the same brain soup that you see when you watch Sky News. These are all just Sky News watchers running the country.
Thank you. Love audience participation.
So cringy! Oh, man, it's like watching a really bad stand-up act. You know, someone that really doesn't know how to flip it when the audience goes in and they're just... I'm just going to pause. She was waiting for a laugh break there. I feel sorry for her. Hang in there, Jeannie. You're just having a bad night.
Expensive net zero cult sure likes to use lots of...
To quote the Daily Telegraph. You know what I would love to know? I would love to know how much. They're just talking about building roads, upgrading roads, building an entire structure, getting all of these assholes to go over in their private jets and convoy them over to see a gas field, to look at a gas field while they do this. And they're complaining about $870,000 paid in taxpayer bills for the cops. I would love to see how much money was spent on that. Keep in mind, we're going to have to look at the stats again, but these guys just like, as soon as the Labor Party got in, they got them to pay 5 times the amount of tax that they've been avoiding under the coalition. 5 times the amount of tax. And they're complaining about 870, nothing. What we're talking about there was just like the election caps of 800,000 a seat. Absolute pittance. And they're pretending these absolute billionaires, the richest people on earth, sitting there saying $870,000 of our tax money. How much are you avoiding in tax a year? Billions. Absolutely billions.
Using hundreds of private jets. Does anyone here want the taxpayer to keep funding these trips? You're welcome to stand up. Nobody.
No one in this room of gas execs wants taxpayer-funded money going to our competitor. How interesting. Little girl voice. It's that same voice that you hear in all these horror movies of like, I'm not allowed to leave the house. Mummy would get ever so angry, and Mummy's been dead for 20 years.
My executives and I will be attending the opening of Cenex's latest facility after our National Day because people in the East need gas.
Yeah, but why don't we have any gas in the East? Why? Because the Liberals, and this is something else that you see online with all the whinge merchants and stuff, they're always just like, oh, they all just exported over. Yeah, but who voted for that? Who? The Liberals signed off all those contracts, and once you sign off those contracts, guess what? You can't get them back because they're legally in the hands of them, which means that you would have to start up a bunch of court cases that you're never going to win and doesn't solve the problem in the short term of the gas. And then they're sitting there saying like, oh, the eastern states need gas while they're selling all of the gas off to Japan.
To advocate for sensible policies.
Look at this idiot with the cowboy hat on that says, drill, baby, drill.
The wrongly named Nature Positive Plan. We actually thought this had died its natural, not positive for Australians' death. Well, it will be the death of the Labor Party at the next election if the ALP is foolish enough to pass this and other market interference.
See, they're saying it right now, outright threatening the Labor government. Now, again, what do all the assholes at Crikey, what do all the new media whinge merchants say? What do all the whinge merchants in the online say constantly? Oh, mining, both the Labor Party and the Liberal Party in cahoots with it. And they're explicitly saying they are going to take down the Labor Party because of their regulations and restrictions on them. And as I've got a video coming out, they will succeed at it too. As soon as the mining industry decides it's time to go for a Labor government, it always loses. That is an ironclad rule of politics every time. And it is so annoying that you now have another entire faction of these well-funded idiots at your Climate 200s and your Australian institutes painting this completely false dichotomy that Labor and Liberal are equally loved by the mining party, while they're overtly saying how much they detest the Labor Party. While they have a minor party woman sitting there, Pauline Hanson, in the audience.
Without more supply, prices will rise, impacting consumers already suffering from the cost of living crisis and businesses that rely on natural gas.
Isn't it interesting that all of their solutions to the cost of living crisis is to allow us to make even more money, and that'll solve the problem? I don't know anything about the price controls laws that they're talking about. This is all news to me, but I would imagine that if the Labor Party has done it, it is because they have gone to Canberra and they have done economic modelling on it and it has made sense. I get it. You know, I'm not one of these assholes who's like, everything is neoliberalism unless it's the government intervening in things, and like all private enterprise is bad, and everything should just be like, you should just be put 5 cents for a banana for the rest of eternity. Dude, I understand that a lot of the times it does not make sense to put price controls on things. But I can guarantee you now, these bozos with this track record where we're 10 minutes in and they're saying that the price controls is a bad idea, I'm guessing it's probably an amazing one. 22nd
November is an important date in our national calendar. It is an opportunity to
Stop doing this. I've noticed it. She does this every time she closes her mouth. Gina Reinhardt, it's my birthday. I'm 70. I talk like a little 5-year-old. A pompous 5-year-old. And I have the brain of an outback bogan.
everything that our mining and related industries provide to our country and to our living standards. And indeed,
See? Ah!
we do try hard to make our National Day celebrations. Thank you, all my overworked team staff. Thank you. We couldn't do it without you.
Yes, these people getting weighted on hand and foot by, I think, almost individual waiters. There are so many waiters in there. Yes, they're very overworked. Look at them.
Data from the tax office shows that the mining sector has, for the second year in a row, paid more tax than all other sectors of the economy combined. 43.
What? No way is that true. The mining industry is 10% of Australia's GDP, I think. There is no way. I bet you the only place that we see that is going to be... Yeah, okay, Mineral Councils of Australia says that. Mining Weekly, then all other industries combined. I would love to see anything say this. Australian mining industry contributes $43 billion in company tax. I bet you that's what they're talking about. Okay, so this is what I think is happening here. They're talking about from large corporations, which is not industries. ATO collects $100 billion from large corporations. Yep, okay, we've gone through that. Foreign companies with an income of $100 million or more. Most sectors of the economy showed increased tax payable from prior year. Again, this is what you get when you get Labor governments. You get corporations paying more. It's almost a fifth up since the Liberals are in. Almost a fifth up already from the corporate sector. And this is before they put in all their corporate tax evasion laws this year, just recently. It'll go up way more next year. This is the second year in the row that the mining sector paid more tax than all other sectors combined, paying more than 5 times they did in 2014 to 2015. Jesus Christ, there you go. Okay, so this is the thing that they're complaining about. What Gina Reinhardt is saying there is that the Labor government is forcing them to pay their resources, for our resources. They're getting the mining sector to pay more than all the other sectors combined. And Gina Reinhardt is sitting there saying, oh, we do so much for this country. We really do it. You're getting forced by the Labor government to do it. The one that you are sitting there saying you are going to get rid of the Labor government in the next election. So you don't have to pay that tax.
But what does $74.6 billion in just 2 of the tax payments actually mean in dollars for Australians? To put in perspective, those $74.6 billion alone, without all the other billions, is enough to pay for our entire defence budget, plus all the federal expenditure on schools, all federal expenditure on roads, and leaving some change to spare. After a significant increase in health expenditure, Australian taxpayers spend almost $200 million each and every day to run our public hospitals.
Yeah, okay, so she's just fudged the stats then. She said they pay for all of these benefits in infrastructure and education and the military. And now let's just talk about health. So she's moved the goalpost there. But let's also point out they are still paying a fraction of the wealth that you can obviously argue is rightfully ours. Like, again, I'm not going to sell you false hope like all of the new media types of like, yeah, you just get in the right government, it's going to... No, because there is a long, long history of the mining industry quashing any government that dares do it. We're going to do a video about it going back to the 60s, where there has been a bunch of governments that have been trying to tax and regulate and nationalize mines over the years, and they have been crushed, as in cooped, every single time that has happened. So it's never going to happen, ever. But while they're sitting there and talking about, look at all this money that we're paying for, this is outrageous, just know that they're still keeping like 80% of it to themselves.
For the last 6 consecutive quarters, our living standards measured in GDP per capita falling, record business failures, record and rising national debt, rising inflation, and our cost of living crisis. This is not a time for linos, timidly fiddling around a few edges, careful not to upset the minority noises or rapidly increasing bureaucrats, none of whom will ever vote for the coalition. We need to make Australia great again, don't we?
You see? Isn't this incredible? This is the mining industry openly talking about how they're going to get the coalition back in power. When everybody sits there and says, oh, it's so easy, all you have to do is tax them. And they're sitting there plotting with billions of dollars, looking out at their large gas investment pipeline that they've just started up. And they're sitting there saying, we'll just get the coalition re-elected again, like that.
Let's consider the USA on one hand, bringing in Doge to ensure tapes are cut, and company tax is soon to be 15%, plus a drill baby drill president, as against Australia. Our company tax rate's double that. So far, the coalition has brought in more government tape and regulations than the socialist Whitlam government ever had. Commitment and action to significantly cut is badly needed. Capital is already flooding out of Australia.
Pure fantasy. What did she say in that? That was incredible. What did she say in that for her grand vision of Australia? This is the woman that is in charge of this country, really. At the end of the day, she has the money to install any government she likes. That's what she's talking about now. And you listen to her grand idea of what a perfect Australia would look like, and what is that? One where she doesn't have to pay as much tax. That's it.
What has happened to this 29 billion gas project for our north, when the minister later stated she wouldn't delay the project to protect a dangerous grey sea snake, a snake capable of killing us? Months have passed in that approval process.
Did you hear that? This is why this evil Labor government has to go. They've put environmental regulations on us, and we're going to wipe out an ecosystem that holds an endangered animal. And that endangered animal, newsflash guys, is venomous. I've never got no in my life, and now you're telling me no for some silly snake. You know what? We do have to thank our lucky stars that Gina Reinhardt is clearly an idiot. Can you imagine if she was smart? Can you imagine if she wasn't some bush pig bogan? Can you imagine if she had a brain?
When you subtract from this level of investment amounts that companies are having to spend on green infrastructure in order to meet the increased green ideology burdens, along with amounts driven by inflated construction costs, which the CME have recently stated have increased by some 23% over the past 4 years. The actual amount of money flowing into building productive new mining projects in Australia, ones which could supply future revenue, is critically low.
That's incredible, isn't it? I will never, ever, ever understand how the mining industry can simultaneously talk about, look at how rich we are, look at how much we build this country in inverted commas, and usually what they're talking about is infrastructure to get to mines. But we build this country, we're so rich, we're doing so well, we're genius business, but we're really poor at the same time. We're really poor and we don't have enough money, and so that's why we need our taxes cut, because we just, while showing off our wealth, right here, they're talking about this massive gas facility that they've just made. They've created a big building to ship all these billionaires when they come over. That was another thing that they were talking about in the last video. It was so good. Look at all these billionaires flying off to COP to talk about climate change in their private jets. How did you get into the middle of the Pilbara? Private jet. Unbelievable. Can you truly imagine being Gina Reinhardt and sitting there and waking up every morning and thinking, no one has it harder than I. I haven't had an easy life. Would you like me to insert your shit funnel in your anus for you, Gina Reinhardt? No, I think I'll use my own muscles this morning, Jeeves. But do bring out the bedpan. In fact, can we just Google this now? How much money do you reckon the mining industry made in profit last year? Okay, so it looks like that they got operating profit before tax. Yeah, 250 billion. Profit. And they're crying poor. 250 billion in profit. Now, let's just talk again while they're sitting there saying, look at how much that we do for this country. We give so much to this country. We keep it going. How much did Australia spend on healthcare last year? Yeah, so the entire healthcare budget. They made in profit. So after all of their expenses on infrastructure investment, after all of that, this is the stuff that they capped. Admittedly, some of that was taken out of tax after that. So that would have been what? I don't even know how much they got in it. You'd have to go deep into the ATO figures for that. But I can guarantee it wouldn't have been at the 30% rate that they're getting, because they've got the best tax avoiders on earth working for them.
It's the time for leadership with courage. Let's not be frightened to learn from the success of President-elect Donald Trump.
Jesus, it's so terrifying how much they're on board with Trump and that they just like they can't even think. It's amazing that they have so much money and they don't have a lick of creativity between them. It is huge testament to Donald Trump that he is such a showman, I suppose, that he has completely reinvented what all these types of people, how they see themselves. Like a room of the richest Australians, probably some of the richest people on earth are sitting there like, yeah, we're the downtrodden, forgotten types. Like, that's how they're projecting themselves now. And it is because of Donald Trump just being like, it's horrible, America's a terrible hellscape, and it's all because of me, we're bringing it back. So they're doing that same shtick now. But it's pathetic that none of them can come up with their own shtick. There's not a lick of creativity between any of them. Trump? Did someone say Trump? Oh, drill, baby, drill. I remember him saying that. Simps. Sorry, can we just... Dolly Parton was right. Money doesn't buy good taste. Gina... what the fuck is that? Look at it. This is something that you get in one of those arcade malls. Yeah, you look great, Dal. Isn't that the weird thing about modern age? That everybody watching this stream right now is probably way more educated than Gina Reinhardt. They're probably way smarter than this woman that has just been baking in West Australia heat for the last 70 years and has never had to pick up a book because, why bother? I have thinking men to think for me. Think for me, thinky men. She pays them $100,000 a year. The newspapers say that you're good, Gina. Yes, I don't need to learn to remember to read anymore, do I?
As I have repeatedly stated, we need to cut government tape, regulations, government wastage, and tax burdens across Australia. We need a USA-style Doge, that delivers action.
Elon Musk's ideology seems to be centered entirely around reading Anne Frank when he was 15. So, first off, it's the same thing that all those like libertarian types in the US have of, yes, I will counter Das Kapital with Fountainhead. Which is like, it's a fantasy book. It's like saying, here's my view of the world. Have you read Harry Potter 4? Yeah, I'm going to base my political leanings off of fighting evil with magic. And Bertie bots every flavored beans. We have to invent those. That's how they're running their view of the world. So he comes in with Doge, which is, guys, it's a joke name. Yeah, this whole, I'm going to cut efficiency. I can't remember. What was it again? He was going to cut something like, God, what was it? A couple of $100 billion out of the deficit or something? That's not going to happen. I'm very happy to be proven wrong. Maybe they are just going to be that psycho and cut the government to those extreme lengths and just completely collapse the government. Maybe they will do that. But probably what's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of people around them sitting there and saying, look, you can pick on the Department of Environment as much as you like. You can pick on the Department of Education as much as you like. But that's a very teeny portion of the American budget. You are not going to be cutting this much out of it because then you'll have to start going against the defense industry, which is their version of the mining industry. And that's never going to happen. We need a Doge. We need a fictitious, made-up government department that isn't going to do anything. That's what this country needs. That's why we're going to elect Peter Dutton.
We need governments to reduce the number of approvals required for projects. The first to go should be the federal departments, which repeat what the state departments already do. Certainly not, oh, well, let's try and just say if they comply with, government, federal departments, then that's okay. That's not what we mean.
See, again, like, that's nothing. She said nothing. She said that there's government departments that replicate what federal government departments do. Names and numbers. And then immediately backtracks and says, oh, no, we're not talking about the ones that say if you comply with federal government. So what? What department? What? Nothing. There's nothing going on in their heads.
Declining living standards over 6 consecutive quarters, record business failures, increased inflation. Is this what the majority of Australians want? We should be watching and learning from the recent announcement following President-elect Trump's Tsami victory that he will be establishing a Department of Government Efficiency. With Elon Musk and fellow billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy, very brilliant chap, or both of them, leading the change, they will achieve significant cutting of the tape, yes, significantly. Doge will cut government intrusion, cut government waste, and enable President-elect Trump to cut taxes. You've got to cut the other first before he can properly cut taxes.
She just gave away the game, didn't she? The reason that they're constantly talking about cutting back on government departments, the reason that they want that is so they can justify cutting taxes for corporations. So basically what they're saying when they're always saying, oh yeah, we need to cut back on red tape, there's too much red tape. Really all they're saying is, I want to pay less in tax. So then the Liberal Party comes in and says, oh, we need to get rid of all of these because there's just so many wasteful public servants out there. You know, if there's one thing society has, it's too many people in the ATO chasing down tax cheats. There's too many of those. We need to get rid of those. She gave away the game right there. It makes so much sense when you look at these people because their brains are fried from being in the hot desert sun for too long. They're not smart. They have no initiative. They have no innovation.
Treasury don't want to cut bureaucracy, their club, or recognise that cutting taxes leads to revenue growth.
How many times do we have to hear that? We're just going to hear that same lie for the rest of eternity. If you cut taxes, it actually grows the economy.
If we truly wanted to consider the terrible pressure the rising costs of living is causing many Australians, drop the excise tax on fuel completely and immediately. This would have a positive impact for families at not only the petrol pump, but on all their goods and services that require transportation.
Shut up, it's just the same stuff they've been saying for 30 years. Cut the fuel excise. It's incredible. See, this is the same thing, right? Like, you think that the Liberal Party has all of these ideas, but they're all just focused around keeping the mining industry happy. Like, the whole reason that nuclear power is even being discussed at the moment is because Peter Dutton is sitting there signalling to the mining industry that we're going to be on your side. It's such a good symbol as well. The only natural thing in there, they dyed blue, the colour of Santos.
We saw this under the last Trump administration. We saw it under President Reagan. They massively cut tape and taxes, and Americans flourished. Let's remind our Aussie politicians and try to persuade the linos that governments do not create wealth.
What a stupid point that is. Can you seriously, this is incredible. It's so dumb that she just before there was talking about what a genius businessman Donald Trump is and how much money he's going to create for America, then goes, let's just say this, governments don't create wealth. That's a government. What do you think? Just because he was on The Apprentice, somehow he's not the president of the United States now, is he? I mean, I'm sure your hero, Donald Trump, would be very offended to hear that, Gina. And on top of that, as we show over and over and over and over again, yes, governments create wealth. What the hell are you talking about? They invent entire industries. What they're talking about there, for instance, of let's cut investment from renewables for no reason whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with our self-interest at all. We're interested in the country. What are you doing by investing in renewables? You're creating an industry around it. When they're investing even in something like the Public Housing Fund, what are you doing? You're creating an industry around building public houses.
This year, I'd like to leave you with a quote from another brave, outstanding leader, the president of Argentina, Milei, I'm not sure how to pronounce, I'm so sorry. Quote.
It's incredible. I never really made the connection before about why all of these figures, these very strange, bizarre figures across the world, like your Donald Trumps and the president of Argentina and whoever that one is of Hungary, they're always just propping them up over and over and over again, and they're talking about how awesome they are. And I genuinely thought that it was something of this sort of groundswell of, oh yeah, we just like insane figures now. But then you look at this and you realize, no, it is the elite that are insane and stupid now because, like we're saying, they've just completely degenerated from where they were when it was back in the days of titles and ladies and dames, and they used to have decorum, and so politics used to have this very decorum Dimitri, which was a better world. It really was in many, many, many ways, especially because there actually was a sense of community giving back. You know, and I think, honestly, the reason that you have these big politicians like your Trumps and this guy here, the Argentina psycho, is purely because look at the elite now. They're just scum. They're scum with billions of dollars. Stupid scum that like stupid scum, and then they just keep pumping them out in the press and saying how awesome they are. And so the public sits there and goes, yeah, that's what we need. We need a leader like that.
The woke agenda have collided with reality and no longer have credible solutions to offer to the actual problems of the world. End quote. Thank you once again for joining us to celebrate our important National Day. And thank you to our wonderful sponsors. I hope you all enjoy our time together here at Santos.
Holy hell. I didn't see him. Our boy Barnaby's there as well. Of course Barnaby Joyce is there. Of course he is. But I didn't notice. But look at this group of all-stars. And I'm really, really digging the drill baby drill hat here. Now there's a man with class. Every single time, this is what I'm talking about. Like a guy with a hat that says drill baby drill. This is the guy calling the shots. How much better was it? This is why I'm a monarchist. It was so much better when it was King Charles doing it. A guy with a crown and some dignity, damn it. Drill, baby, drill. That's the new crown.
And please never forget, we all need to stand up to make our voices heard and deliver the messages to our government that they have got us on the down path with their current policies. Let's help deliver that up path. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and thank you.
Now you've got Peter Dutton delivering a special message to them. You know, like it's someone getting freed from a hostage situation in Papua New Guinea or whatever. Now this is something that he definitely does not want leaked to the public. This is what we all came to see. Your new leader in waiting, ready to be installed by these bush pigs. Let's hear what he has to say, because I can guarantee you right now he's not going to be repeating this on the Today Show, is he?
First, congratulate Gina Reinhardt and Tad Wetruba as patrons of this National Mining and Related Industries Day. I thank them sincerely for the leadership they provide in a sector so critical to our national economy. And when mining does well, as you well know, our nation does well.
So just regurgitating the same talking points back to them. I suppose the main reason that you would do that is to say, yes, I'm in the club. It's sort of lingo that the youth use to signify that they're all cool. Also, I know this has been said 1,000 times, but whoever told Peter Dutton to wear those annoying journalist glasses, that is the only time I've ever seen those square glasses and not thought less of someone. It's quite hard to think less of somebody when they have no eyebrows. Way less scary with them. Call it a spade a spade. Good move on the makeup department there.
And over the last decade, mining has contributed some $356 billion in company tax and royalties. It's something that should be taught to every school child.
Yes. You know what should be taught to every school child? If you break that down, it's like 30 billion a year. When they're making 250 billion in profit. So there we go. He just gave us our answer. So on average, they're probably making $250 billion a year, and they're giving out 35 billion. So less than 10, I mean, a little bit over 10%. That's their great contribution to this nation. Thank you so much.
It's helped to provide our military with state-of-the-art equipment. Put simply, the revenue generated by mining helps to build Australia, care for Australia, and to defend Australia. And yet, this reality is overlooked by the current federal Albanese Labor government.
How? He's making them pay their share in tax. He's the one that is getting all of these roads built. When you were in government for the last 10 years, there was tens of billions of dollars sitting in various investment funds that never got built. And you know why? Because this whole thing of, oh yeah, we need to cut back on government spending. It's all waste. You know what happens when that happens? It goes into these funds and there's not enough bureaucrats around to allocate that to projects. And so it just sits there accumulating, doing nothing. So not only is Albanese building all of the infrastructure that you've just neglected for the last 10 years, that we are behind as a nation, 10 years in infrastructure build that we should be. Not only is he doing that, he's also taxing these mining companies appropriately. 5 times more than you were when you were in government. 5 times more. Is building all of this infrastructure, and they're sitting there saying, this point is overlooked by the Albanese government.
The pragmatic Labor Party run by Hawke and Keating is gone, and the modern Labor Party under Mr Albanese has turned its back on workers and primary industries across the nation.
Yes, and they turned their back on primary industries and workers. The Labor Party turned its back on workers by giving them wage increases every year that they've been in government. They've also been increasing the amount of award wages that you get every single year. They also had an actual inflation reduction program that worked, unlike your government. They went after the supermarkets with hard fines. All of these things the coalition opposed. They also gave out tax cuts to the middle class and working class that you were going to give out exclusively to Gina Reinhardt, essentially. And this is turning their back on workers. Oh, and also instilling a bunch of workers' legislation that protected them from being killed on site. This is how they're turning their back on the everyday worker, and how Peter Dutton is really sticking up for them when his party voted to keep that legislation in place that was killing construction workers.
It's now a party which panders to social and environmental activists, to inner city Green voters, and of course to the big union bosses who want new power in national life.
So stupid, isn't it? If there's one thing the Labor Party doesn't do, it's pander to the inner city. They've lost those seats permanently to these arsehole Greens. How the hell are they pandering to them? What? How? By building public housing in their seats that they don't want built there. That's really pandering to the Greens. We're not doing anything about aeroplane noise.
And it's sidelined the national interest in the process. Consider the government's environmental policy. They funded activists to wage lawfare to stymie key projects. These activists have targeted offshore LNG projects in the Northern Territory and in Western Australia. And now Regis's $1 billion gold mine in New South Wales is in their crosshairs.
See, again, what do you see in the media that you consume constantly? From your crikeys, your Saturday papers, you constantly hear, Labor turns its back on the environment. Labor's not doing enough for the environment. You immediately switch over to these guys and they're complaining about huge multi-billion-dollar projects being stymied in benefit of the environment.
The government's also passed new mandatory climate disclosure laws. Businesses will not simply have to account for their own emissions, they'll also have to account for emissions produced along their supply chain, including by small business suppliers.
Oh, the audacity. What a terrible nightmare universe. See, I've got to just keep pointing this out. This whole myth that the Labor Party is doing absolutely nothing about climate emissions and going really soft, going so soft on it because they're bought by the mining industry. Which Labor MP is sitting there? There might be one, but there seems to be a hell of a lot of Nationals. Anthony Albanese isn't doing this grovelling speech to the mining industry's Christmas party, is he? What is Peter Dutton saying is just the absolute terror that is going to be bestowed upon the mining industry. Environmental regulations that the Labor Party is putting on the mining industry. And everyone sits there and goes, they're cowards, they're not doing enough.
The government's also pressing ahead with the green tape agenda. And make no mistake, this agenda is about putting environmental goals ahead of economic ones, rather than striking a balance. The regulatory burdens are going to get even worse. We can expect the government to double down on using Commonwealth environment and cultural heritage laws to stymie even more projects.
Did you hear that? If this government continues to be in power, they will enforce the law. Behind closed doors, he is telling these people, we will allow you to get away with breaking the law. And the reason that we need to get the Labor government unelected is because they dare enforce the law.
Consider the government's industry policy too. The Future Made in Australia Fund is simply about this government picking its own winners while sidelining known market winners. The Prime Minister has said not a single government dollar would be invested in gas under his Future Made in Australia plan. And tellingly, between 2022 and 23 alone, almost 60% of our iron ore, coal and gas major projects were delayed, disrupted or put on hold.
There you go. Dutton is making the case for why all the lies that you hear online about shit and shit light, Labor's just in the pockets of the mining industry, and he's sitting there and he's saying, this is terrible. Ever since the Albanese government's been in place, he has delayed and deconstructed 63% of the projects that we approved as government for mining. Unbelievable. I can't believe that he did it. And on top of that, he's picking winners. Instead of me picking winners and not funding renewables and not funding hydrogen and not funding battery powers and creating a blue-collar industry with a bunch of high-paid blue-collar jobs that are all unionised, manufacturing things, making things in this country, as opposed to just digging shit out of the ground and remaining dumb as pig shit as these people are. To work in factories, you have to be a hell of a lot more educated than you do to be working in a mine, which not only improves the circumstances of the working class, makes us an energy superpower, but like a good Saudi Arabia. This is the vision that Labor has for this country. It is absolutely criminal that you will never hear ever in the press because, again, two factions of the elite, one funds the independents, one funds the liberals. They both do not want a workers' party in power. They don't like highly unionised, highly educated, blue-collar workers. They don't want any of that. And he's sitting there saying, oh my God, how dare the Labor Party create an educated, blue-collar workforce that makes us extremely wealthy, creates an entire industry around decarbonising the planet. This is the future that the Labor Party has. While you have all these arseholes in the Saturday paper, crikey, all the new media bootlickers of the Australian Institute and Climate 200 sitting there and saying, Labor's too timid, Labor doesn't have a vision for this country, while he's sitting there talking about how much they have stymied the mining industry and how much they're trying to implement an alternative to the mining industry controlling this country.
Consider the government's industrial relations policy too. Multi-employer bargaining was foisted upon coal miners in New South Wales. And we're now seeing a push to reunionise the Pilbara, roping mining companies into multi-employer bargaining.
There you go. This terrible, weak government that is so scared of the mining industry and does absolutely nothing to forward this country whatsoever. And there you have Dutton admitting, no, they're trying to unionise the workforce of mines. How dare they? Listen to this. He's saying this behind closed doors. How dare workers unionise?
Consider too the government's energy policy. Labor is pressing ahead with a reckless renewables-only plan. It's committed to rolling out weather-dependent energy on an industrial scale. Electricity costs are already skyrocketing, and we know that families can't afford it. Economic analysis released last week reveals that the actual cost of Labor's plan on the East Coast is 5 times more than what it says.
Yeah, you know what the economic modelling is talking about there is? Economic modelling that consultancy firms that are Liberal Party affiliated came up with. Economic modelling that was just released last week. It's incredible. It's incredible. While the economic modelling from the CSIRO shows that his energy plan will increase bills by like $650 a year, and they're sitting there and saying, oh yeah, the economic modelling, according to our friends at this bullshit consultancy firm that feed off of the bureaucracy getting privatised and then take up all of the slack from there to feed the coalition exactly what it wants. According to them, it actually costs 5 times more. It actually costs, there's no bias in that whatsoever.
In a short 2.5-year period, the Albanese government is hindering our resource industries. And if they're re-elected, the next 3 years will be even more difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent years and across the world, we've seen multiple examples of parties in government seeking to increase the power of the state. In this desire for greater government control, we've seen agendas which involve the following: more taxation, more spending, more public servants, more regulation, and more interference in the economy.
Describing a world going in the right direction and saying this is a nightmare. It says a lot, doesn't it? It really says how bad it is when the Liberal Party gets into power.
We will take the pressure off the housing crisis, and that includes reducing the permanent migration program by 25%.
He walks that back. He was completely lying about it anyway, that whole thing of we're going to cut migrants by 25%, and then they started saying, okay, how are you going to do it? And then he said, oh, actually, we're not going to do that. So already, it's just incredible. He's got no ideas for this. It's always the same with the Liberals. No ideas for this country at all. Nothing. His big ideas, nuclear power, definitely not going to happen. We're cutting migration by 25%. Absolutely not happening. He's already walked back both. What is his big vision for this country? Make mining elites even richer.
I also want to unleash the magic of the marketplace. I'm keen to rip up as much red and green tape as possible. And that's essential for our international competitiveness and making our nation a mining and manufacturing powerhouse again.
Just so we know about this manufacturing thing, right? Because I do genuinely think that the way to really improve the living circumstances, it makes so much sense, the Future Made in Australia plan, when you really read about it. What Albanese government's whole point of doing, it's huge what they're doing, huge. Building back a manufacturing base for this country, but building back a manufacturing base for the 21st century that is based off of renewable energy. Compare that to the Liberals, that when John Howard was in, 100,000 jobs of manufacturing shipped overseas. Then when the Coalition was in last time, 100,000 jobs shipped overseas in manufacturing. Then when Labor's in, 70,000 jobs in manufacturing made within the first 2 years. So over a decade, 100,000 lost under Howard. Over a decade, 100,000 lost under the next 3 bozos. And then in 2 years, they brought back 70,000 of those jobs. Because that is where you want blue-collar workers working. You do not want them being little pit demons. You want them being educated. You want them being skilled, and you want them building a future that actually is environmentally sustainable and good for the world.
Friends, I make you this promise. A Dutton coalition government will be the best friend the resource sector in Australia will ever have. We will slash project approval times in half by capping assessment timeframes and restricting stop-the-clock provisions. We will accredit states and territories to provide approvals which meet Commonwealth legislation requirements. We will reintroduce geological bioregional assessments in key regions to unlock new projects. We will include gas in the capacity investment scheme, and that will drive investment in recognition of the crucial role that gas plays in our energy mix. We will defund the activist-led Environmental Defenders Office. We will limit the ability of third parties to challenge decisions under the EPBC Act. We will do all these things because I want to turbocharge mining in Australia.
Straight from the horse's mouth. Couldn't have put it better myself. Do we really need to unpack any of that? I mean, everything that he just said then is horrifying.
I want to lean into growing opportunities like critical minerals, rare earths and uranium. Indeed, uranium will be even more important as more nations build zero emissions reactors. The next federal election will be a simple choice between 3 more years of a Labor government or a Labor minority government with the Greens that will double down on its hostility to mining and hold back our national prosperity. Or electing a new coalition government, which knows that getting our country back on track means getting mining moving full steam ahead. I hope that all in your sector have the opportunity to thrive. I really do. We will have your backs and I hope that you'll have ours as well. Gina, a final word to you. I want to say thank you very much for your friendship, but also the way in which you have championed this industry. The leadership you've provided, you're not only bettering our nation through your philanthropic deeds, but you're also playing a pivotal role in contributing to our national debate. Thank you for speaking up on many issues that are in our country's best interests, be that on tax reform, on bolstering our nation's defence, on having a managed and sustainable migration program, on the need to eliminate government inefficiency and waste, on the importance of eradicating indoctrination from our classrooms, and much, much more besides. It takes courage to speak up on these issues because you, like many of us, become subject to a torrent of abuse from the vocal illiberal left and the keyboard warriors. But I know that it doesn't deter you 1 inch.
Well, he's got us there.
Thank you for voicing concerns which are shared by quiet, patriotic Australians across our great country. Ladies and gentlemen, I join with you in celebrating this National Mining and Related Industries Day. I hope that our best days are ahead of us and I wish you every success into the future. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, Kevin Gallagher couldn't make it here tonight. But he's did send us.
That guy is the worst MC in history, isn't he? Some South African that is MCing all of these billionaires are very scared of his job. Also is very bad at presentation.
Thank you, Gerhard, and to Mrs. Reinhardt, who has been the engine room behind the National Mining Day initiative, and perhaps our country's greatest advocate. I also want to acknowledge distinguished guests, including not 1 but 4 federal parliamentarians from Queensland, who are great friends of the resources sector. Senators Susan MacDonald, Matt Canavan and Pauline Hanson, and member for Hinkler, Keith Pitt.
See, look at that. All of them. Everyone there at the mining Christmas party. All LNP.
I assure you, I am joining you in spirit.
Doesn't that man look dead? Look at him, look at him. There's a man who has the soul sucked out of him. I think that's what happens to you if you work in the mining industry and you have a brain. This guy's obviously way more put together than anybody else that they've put up there so far. If you're a mushhead like Gina Reinhardt, you can get through 70 years just fine without ever contemplating once that you might be evil. But this guy is smart enough to know that what he is doing is morally abhorrent and bankrupt. And that's what you end up looking like, kids. Pretty much the guy at The Simpsons that, hang on, I'll show you this.
When do we get the freaking guns?
To get projects off the ground and to bring essential products like natural gas to market. A product that delivers energy 24/7 and the polymers that are the building blocks for all kinds of plastics, clothing fibres and chemicals that we use every day. The costs of compliance are killing our industries, and this needs to be a focus of whoever wins the next election. Every day, our gas marketers at Santos have to meet around 800 compliance and reporting obligations for every single transaction.
Guys, let's just go through. Santos made $2 billion in profit. $2 billion in profit. After all their expenses, after all their wages, after that guy's salary's taken out, by the way. What do you reckon he's on? 500 million a year? Something like that? Million, 2 million? After all of that, what's left over in profit? $2 billion. And this guy's sitting there saying like, oh, red tape's killing us. We can't continue to thrive and grow. All right, yeah, see, now this guy's too smart. He's not saying anything hilarious, so we will just quit on to him.
The patron of National Mining Day, Tad Watrow, please make Tad feel welcome.
Look at this man. Holy hell.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, let's just... This man has clearly lost his mind. He is clearly demented. Why is he on stage? Oh my god. Look, he's got like the homeless man doomsday. Look at that. He's got the whole... Look at this. What is this? How did anybody allow him to get up like this? And what is with his Like, why are you an activist? They sort of behave exactly the same way as your feral hippies that never stop obstructing traffic on the streets. They're the same as that, it's just that they've got more money.
Thank you firstly to Mrs. Reinhardt, founder and co-patron of the National Mining Day.
Yes, we get it. You've said it 1,000 times.
Thank
Shut
you
up.
for your
I don't think that guy does
long-standing
that. I think he just
support.
thinks... I think he's so lost that he's thinking, I am the first person to thank Gina Reinhardt. Why hasn't she been thanked yet? Look at him rocking back and forward like this. Surely this man is ailed.
Thank you also for missing Kevin and Santos for hosting us here at the Mumbai famous gas field. It's great to see actually all the plants, and we've seen it from the aircrafts as well. Mining and its related industry are without any doubt essential to our modern lives. Everything around us, from the food on our plates to the planes we used to get here, to the cars we drive, hospitals, their medical equipment, and the phones we use in all sorts of ways, really rely on the mining industry.
You can tell what's happened to this guy, right? He's obviously some engineer or something from way back, and he really likes drills and likes to build a really good drill. That man is really close to the end of his life. This is again one of those like Biden in the debate things. This is senile abuse stuff. I think that this man might actually be very intelligent, but in that really engineering way of, I only specifically care about one specific type of thing, and I don't really care about any of the externalities that happen as a result of me doing this. I just like building the drills. I'm going to build drills. That's what he's doing, right? Look, he's even got it still there. It's like wearing it as a bib on his obviously stained shirt. Drill, baby, drill. That's all he thinks about all his life. Drills. I like drills. Drills are cool.
It provides the metals and minerals required for everyone. And it provides plenty of financial benefits too, including significant export revenues, contributing more taxes than all other industries combined, and paying some of the highest average wages anywhere in the world, which we all enjoy. Unfortunately, those contributions are often forgotten. Even worse, many of our politicians and governments choose to wrongly undermine our industry and their policies. Just consider our recent example of taxpayers being billed almost $900,000 for a group of bloody bureaucrats, sorry.
I want to talk to this guy for half an hour. It would be so good to get him on the stream. And I don't want to be mean to him at all. I just want to sit there and say, what do you like other than drills? I just want to know what this man thinks about anything other than drilling. It's just some insane senior citizen. If you got him to talk about anything else, it'd be gold.
In addition to all the other expenses of traveling over there.
See, isn't it incredible? Again, it's so good. They're just whinging about $900,000. These people wouldn't even notice $900,000 being stolen out of their personal bank accounts, let alone their businesses, let alone their industry. And they're pretending like this is a huge affront of money. I would love to know how much this Christmas party cost. I would really like to know. If anyone can find out how much the mining industry's Christmas party was, I will make you a bet of $900,000 that it cost way more than $900,000.
Bureaucrats, as you know, flying on fossil fuel power jets, paid for which with tax monies and largely come from the mining and gas sectors, to tell you about how to stop...
Look, did you see that? Sorry, just rewind. Look at this. Look at Gina Reinhardt telling off a waiter. Look at this.
Bureaucrats, as you know, flying on fossil...
Incredible, isn't it? Sitting there. Bureaucrats sitting around talking about how to stop the world from boiling over. $900,000. Probably about as much as the silverware cost in this room. $900,000 to talk about very important issues like stopping organised society from disintegrating entirely, sipping wines in the meantime, and then it cuts to a shot of Gina Reinhardt sipping a wine. What do you think she's saying here?
The mining and gas sectors, to tell you about how to stop this very industry.
She was telling off a waiter for something. Do you reckon it was because it is Gina Reinhardt? Give me another bowl of these potatoes.
And our left governments worry about cows bleaching, but we don't worry about them farting. As the coalition waste sportsman said, the UN COP conferences are fast become carbon dioxide super emitters. We don't need that many bureaucrats swanning around the palatial pavilions on the taxpayers' dime And when the delegations, a fraction of the size, could easily serve Australian interests in reduced carbon emission at the same time.
Did anyone else catch that? He's doing it, isn't it? He's doing the dementia rant. Words are just sort of meshing into each other. Jesus, no wonder these people resonate with Donald Trump so well. He's speaking sense by not speaking any sense at all. His mind is just a soup like mine.
We need new mines each year, and we need much more gas. The Moomba gas fields which are here today has served Australians reliably for more than 50 years, and hopefully for next 50 or longer, because governments have chosen to demonize coal and gas and refuse to enable the timely development of our natural resources.
It's incredible that they just live in this lie. I get it because this guy is no longer tethered to reality at all, and he sees the Grim Reaper coming for him in the... Just let me finish my speech, okay? Everybody else just keeps saying the same thing over and over. The reason we have blackouts is because we don't produce enough gas. Forgetting that they forced the government, the previous Liberal government, to sign an agreement which allowed them to export all of our gases immediately out. It's exactly the same as when you go to Rockhampton, the beef capital of Queensland, and the locals don't get a lick. Not one of the steaks of the good cow. That all goes immediately. It's all under contract, goes immediately to Japan. Exactly the same thing with the gas. And they just keep saying it over and over. It's the government's fault, yes?
As Mrs. Reinhardt said, we don't need Linos. Now is the time for action. We need those like the...
This guy's gonna bring it. Now is the time for action. This man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger in the wings of the mining industry. Duck is cheap. Also, so is this sign, but I think the sign is very cool.
And because they have wrongly chosen renewable-only electricity system, which is impossible to deliver and which one commentator recently described as having to be connected to a complex and expensive life support system the old grids did not need. Solar only generates power between 10 or 25% of the time. Wind's usually up to 30% of the time.
That's such a bullshit point because it's like, yeah, that's why you have a national grid that is connected. So when the wind isn't blowing in Queensland, it's blowing in Victoria. And then you trade that energy up there. It's so dumb.
Let all remind our friends and neighbors, our families, and our politicians, especially their kids.
Especially the kids of the politicians. What? That's so good. Let's all remind our friends and neighbors. Wait, not our neighbors, our families.
As Mr. Reinhardt said, if the mining industry declines, so will the standards of living of Australians. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he deserves a clap.
Ladies and gentlemen, from time to time at National Mining Day, we recognise individuals that have made an extraordinary contribution to the industry over a long period of time.
Yeah, okay.
Tonight, we want to do something similar.
Yeah.
Can I please ask Professor Ian Plimer to join me on stage? Professor Plimer has endlessly spent a lot of time actually working for the mining industry. Thank you very much and congratulations.
He and others have given me airtime to talk about the absolute nonsense that we hear about climate change. Climate has always changed. In the past, no climate change was ever driven by carbon dioxide.
You know what this is? It's the greatest hits. All the Sky News talking points regurgitated by people with even less charisma than Sky News hosts. Now with even more dementia. This is also incredible that you would think that the great minds of the mining industry would be talking about the industry. They would be talking about what developments they could be making and how they could be innovating. And all they do is bitch and complain about regulation on them. All they ever do is bitch and complain that our friend Peter Dutton isn't in government. No, this can't happen. We can't even have one term where our preferred politician is in power. That's not fair. We're the victims. We're the victims here. It's just them going, did you hear on Sky News the other day? And these are the great minds. This guy is supposed to be this engineer that completely redefined engineering in Australia. And he just got nothing to say about engineering. Nothing. Where is the innovation in these? Lazy dullards. Like, I can't count how many times they completely contradicted themselves, that they would be whining about something and then immediately whining about the exact opposite of it when they're sitting there saying, we give so much money to hospitals, why is the Labor Party making us pay tax? Look, now they're making us pay as much as hospitals. What the hell? You know? And then they come out sipping their Chardonnays as they talk about climate change, while we sit here sipping our Chardonnays. They're so dumb. There's not a single brain amongst them. And they all sit there saying very stupid things. I'll say this, the CEO of Santos, he seemed like he knew what he was doing. That was the only guy in it that really seemed like he was there with merit. And then everybody else, like just look at this dullard's face. Lifetime Achievement Award in mining. Look at the vacant stare in his face. Look at it. There's nothing going on up there.
In the past, we've had up to 1,000 times more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than now. And what do we have? We had ice ages. Carbon dioxide is plant food. It's not a pollutant.
Oh, shut up. It's just... This is the other thing. How many times do you think the people in that room have heard that exact speech? Just regurgitating these same church hymns. That's all that's happening here. They're church hymns. Nothing. No innovation. There's no innovation even in their argument. This is the same dumb 1,000 times debunked talking points they've been saying for 20, 30, 40 years. Back when that guy's hair probably still looked exactly the same. I bet you he's looked like that for a long time.
And the more carbon dioxide we put in the air, the better it is. I'm of the girth, and as you can see, Tad's of the girth, where he cannot hug trees any longer. So we feed them with carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
It is the gas of life. It is not a pollutant. What we are doing in building these wind and solar monstrosities is not environmental. It's not for climate. We have opened up a new scam, and this scam is costing us dearly and will continue to cost us dearly. So I thank the organisers for this award. I thank you.
1,000 times. It's really lame because it's just like, it's the same speech that Lord Monckton was saying, but at least Lord Monckton had a very funny accent. But this guy's just a bozo. I don't own a comb.
Talk common sense.
Yeah, bad time.
And what we have as a mining community is a huge fight in front of us. We have to be activists. We have to fight stupidity. And our greatest weapon is common sense and the economy. So National Mining and Related Industries Day is a very, very important day to do this, but it's only one of the 365 days of the year that we have to fight for our industry. And great Australians like Mrs. Reinhardt, who's the greatest woman this country's ever produced.
Ever? Again, she was just fell out of the right vagina. That was all she really did. That's her accomplishments in life. There's not one single woman that's better. Come on, what about Susie O'Neill? It's someone who's actually done something of merit.
Great Australians are fighting. You have to join in. So thank you.
That was truly enlightening. I was not expecting it to be anywhere near as revealing as that. I've got to thank the person that leaked this to us. I was wrong to have doubted you. It was everything you promised and more. Think about that level of entitlement in life. They think that they are entitled to ignoring laws. That level of entitlement. But the laws are for everyone else except me. Isn't it incredible that in your day-to-day life, you have to deal with a lot of red tape and government bureaucracy, and you might bitch and moan about it. Oh, I can't believe I have to get my license renewed. Why can't it be done for 10 years instead of 5 years? You'll have those moments, but you'll go ahead and do it anyway. But these people sit there and they start a movement to allow them to commit ecocide. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, truly appreciate it. I'll see you next time.